form the egg shape, start with between 1 kilo to 1.5 kilos of clay, and just pull up a section about 50 millimeters to 2 inches in diameter. Centre that, open out the clay to a depth of about 50 millimeters, collar in the bottom, and then pull up the side walls as if you were just forming a cylinder. I'm using soft recycled clay here. I find that the soft clay is easy to form these egg shapes. Though egg shapes are quite sturdy, I'm using a brown clay here with quite a lot of grog in it because I intend to horsehair fire these eggs. Keep pulling up the cylinder and get it as thin as you can. As you can see at this stage, it doesn't look much like an egg, but just keep pulling up the side walls, thinning them out, and then when you're happy with the thickness, start collaring in the top and just thin those walls out as you go up until you've sealed that top section off. Once you seal the top of the egg off, you'll find that the air pressure within the clay will make it much easier to form the final egg shape. Just compress that top edge if it starts to get a little bit rough, and then continue collaring that top bit in. And finally, just seal that top bit off and press down, and you can work on the shape from there. I'm using my finger here to shape the top of the egg, and then I'll use the metal rib to cut down into the hump, give a little more shape to the bottom, and to make sure that I cut down far enough so that when the egg's cut off the hump, I don't leave it with a hole in the bottom. Be careful not to use any form of heat to dry these pieces out. Obviously the air is sealed inside and it'll expand and you'll end up with an egg explosion. The top of this egg is a really good shape, so I'm going to leave the frying lines in for the time being, and I'll take those out when I trim the egg finally. When you're happy with the shape, take the pin tool and place it between the bottom of the egg and the top of the hump. Just push that pin tool in about 5 to 10 millimeters to make a groove, and then once you've done that, take some fishing line, just insert that into the groove, and then holding onto one end tightly and let the other end basically just pull through your fingers, rotate slowly, and you'll be able to cut that egg off nicely. And then carefully, just using your fingers, just lift that off and put it to one side to dry out. I'm just fixing down a chuck here. I've got a video on how to construct this type of chuck. It's really quick, simple, cheap to make. I'll put a link in for that. So once you fix that down, I've just got a ball of clay, about 1 kilo, which I've formed into this sort of puck shape. Just squashed it, and then you can fit that onto the top of the chuck. Here I'm just using the pin tool to cut through the clay right the way through. You pull out the centre section, try and get it at an angle that's approximately the same as the egg, and then once you've done that, again, just use the pin tool just to level off the top. If the chuck clay is a little soft, you can heat it up with an air gun just to dry it out a bit. And place the egg in the chuck, level it off, and you'll notice here I've moved to a bigger egg so you can see a bit better. Make sure it's fairly firmly fixed down into the chuck. Being an egg shape, they do have a habit of trying to escape from the chucks. And once you've done that, just mark the centre with the pin tool, then push that down through the clay into the airspace. This will give you an idea of how thick the clay is, and it'll also stop the egg from cracking. I have found that just the heat from trimming will sometimes increase the pressure inside and cause the egg to crack. Just keep trimming the top of the egg until you're happy with the shape. Using a mirror at this stage can be really useful so that you can get a really good shape to it. Using the edge of the rib tool helps you to get a consistent, smooth shape for the egg. Once you're happy with the shape, you can also flatten it off with the rib tool. And then just flip the egg over and you'll be able to finish off the other side. And here you have your finished egg all ready for firing. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks very much for watching.